either to create a port shunt or to do a atrial septal intervention. So first I would invite Dr. Prashant from Mumbai to give his perspective on creating a port shunt in this subset of patients with advanced and severe PH. Dr. Prashant, please.
Hi, thank you so much for the kind introduction. So I'm going to talk about which is the best intervention for advanced PH, and I'm going to talk in favor of port shunt. So as we all know and has been talked extensively, it is a progressive disease with significant mortality and morbidity. And it is the mortality and morbidity is basically secondary to the RV dysfunction and altered RV to PA coupling. As compared to, and we all know this, as compared to PH without congenital heart disease, patients with PH and congenital heart disease have a better outcome. So what are the possible therapeutic options in a drug refractory pulmonary hypertension? Prostacyclin analogs, this has been discussed, currently not marketed in India. We can do an atrial septal stenting or atrial septostomy or atrial flow regulator, refer the patient for a heart-lung transplant, and the newest in the lot is the doing the port shunt. So it was first described in 2015 by Bartow et al. That creating a communication between the left pulmonary artery and descending aorta has been proposed as an effective palliation, and it converts an idiopathic pulmonary arterial hypertension to a PDA with Eisenmenger physiology, and thus decompresses the right heart and improves the right heart function. So what is our experience of port shunt? In all 52 patients with PH and without intra or extracardiac shunt in functional class 3 or 4 were evaluated and counseled for the procedure. 19 patients, out of which 15 females were included in the study, with a median age of 10 years and a median weight of 21 kilos, with a body surface area of 0.9. 7 patients were in WHO functional class 3 and 12 were in WHO functional class 4. 15 patients did not have a cause. 2 patients were secondary to connective tissue disorder. 1 patient was post-operative VSD closure. 1 patient was post-operative TGA with intact septum. 15 out of the 19 were on 2 pulmonary vasodilators, that is PDE5 inhibitor and endothelin receptor antagonist. And 4 patients were on 3 drugs, including inhaled iloprost. All except 2 patients had suprasystemic PA pressures. The 2 patients with subsystemic PA pressures on echocardiogram and had a history of repeated syncope on maximum medical therapy. And the TAPSE Z-scores were very low, and RV fractional area change was also low. 13 patients underwent a cath procedure, cardiac cath. Remaining 6 patients, we measured the hemodynamics in the operating room. These were the cath parameters. As we can see, most patients who had suprasystemic PA pressures. 16 underwent surgical port shunts, 3 with approved patent PD underwent PDA stenting. Port shunt was done using an interposition graft, and the size of the Gore-Tex tube was almost equal or 1 millimeter less than the descending aortic size at the level of diaphragm. We did the PDA stent using 6 by 20 millimeter Herculean stent. 11 out of the 16 patients and all 3 of the stenting groups survived the procedure. There were 5 early post-operative deaths. 2 patients did not tolerate the intraoperative clamping of the pulmonary artery, and 2 patients had intraparenchymal bleed. 1 patient had PH crisis during induction of anesthesia with persistent right ventricular failure even after the procedure. All survivors were followed up in the PH clinic with a median follow-up of 38 months. This is an echocardiogram pre and post. On the left, we have the pre-echocardiogram. You can see there is severe RV dysfunction, and there is the interventricular septum was bowing to the left, and which showed improvement on the following echocardiogram. Apart from 3 patients demonstrated significant improvement in NT-proBNP, which is a biochemical marker for RV function, and also had an improvement in the TAPSE as well as the right ventricular fractional area change. On follow-up, so improvement in the functional class and the RV function and NT-proBNP allowed us to change the follow-up medications a little bit. We were able to taper off inhaled iloprost in all the 4 patients 3 months post-surgery, and endothelin receptor antagonist we were able to discontinue in 6 patients 3 months after the surgery. There were 3 late deaths, 5, 6, and 30 months post-procedure, 2 with progressive right heart failure and 1 with lower respiratory tract infection. So this is the survival function. We saw that this is on the left is a survival of the patients with function class 3 and 4 with PH who were counseled for port shunt but did not undergo the port shunt. And the green one is the one which is showing that there is improvement in the survival. There is of course, there is a early attrition. These were the 5 deaths, and there were 3 late deaths as well. So we were just wondering why in some patients it is effective and in other patients it is not effective. So we divided them into 2 groups. Group 1 in which benefited from the port shunt, and group 2 which did not benefit in the port shunt. And what we found that if the patient's age is lesser, if they were in a lesser functional class with a better RV function, better RA mean, cardiac index, and NT-proBNP, they were tolerating and were benefiting from the procedure as compared to late in patients whom we operated later on. Survival graphs showed that the age less than 16 years, TAPSE more than 12 millimeters, right atrial pressure of less than 8, and cardiac index of more than 2.5 liters per minute per meter square were predictors which enabled us to find patients who were benefiting from the port shunt. What are the advantages of port shunt over atrial septal intervention? It decompresses the RV both in systole as well as diastole, and the desaturated blood is supplied only to the lower half of the body. Unlike the atrial septal interventions, it is unlikely to decrease over time, and improvement in clinical echocardiographic and biochemical parameters allows us to decrease the medication in patients with pulmonary hypertension. To conclude, port shunt is feasible and can be performed in patients with drug refractory PH. However, it should be done at the earliest sign of clinical echocardiographic and biochemical deterioration, and preoperative stabilization and appropriate selection of cases can identify patients who will benefit from the port shunt. So we should not wait for irreversible RV dysfunction to pursue before subjecting the patient to a high-risk procedure. Thank you.
Okay.